What's good? It's Fever. Today we're going to cover the large pre-open beta patch that Dauntless received last week, the New Horizons patch. And I'm a little bit late here as I wanted to actually get my hands on it and play it and be able to talk about it from experience and give feedback rather than rewording their press release or blog post. Given to me from the team, I also have a number of beta keys that will appear randomly throughout the video, so keep your eyes on those. It's really just like the last chance for these keys to even mean anything because as of May the 24th, all current progress will get wiped and the game will enter open beta and will be free for everyone. So this patch had a lot of changes, big and small. I'm really only focusing on the ones that kind of change the way the game has been played. There's been a lot of rebalances and stuff, but a lot of them you might not even notice if I didn't tell you. Categorized, what I'll be talking about are lantern changes, exotic items, consumable changes, island changes, and some smaller but notable additions. Lantern changes. This is easily my favorite part of the entire patch. Lanterns before were pretty low impact. It was generally just another slot to throw stats on, and it had a weak effect that would be attached to it, almost like an underpowered consumable item. With their rework, they are now given access to two different abilities that feel almost like a cooldown or a trinket from an MMORPG that are themed towards the behemoths that they represent. One ability is used when you hold down the lantern key and one is used when you tap it, and these abilities range from coating you in a hurricane of rocks, just like the Skarn's attack to deal damage to behemoths near you, to shooting a thunderbolt like the Drask, to increasing movement speed or attack speed in a small duration, or giving you an on-demand shield. This change in itself adds a little bit of depth to build creation, but also to just gameplay, because it's still tied to your lantern meter that charges up, and there are still ways, whether they're the Aether Wisps
can provide you a boost of energy,
or armor or cell systems that will allow you to increase the generation of that lantern meter, so you could create a build emphasizing this stuff. Think of this or the Aether-based things in this game as like magic. The on-demand shield especially, in a game about more deliberate combat where you're often locked in animations, gives you that ability to add a bit of that twitch reflex-based defensive style action that you may be more used to, as you can activate the shield mid-swing, it goes off instantly, and you can use it or time it right before an attack comes in just to keep you alive. It has a very short duration, so it's only useful if you can time it off to pull it off correctly, or if you like, you can use a small duration DPS themed buff that lets you punish behemoths if you stagger them or if you boop them, or the elemental based damage attacks, you can choose the right one for the right behemoth. It just all works to give you more tools and allows you more freedom to play well. The next big addition, and it's a bit of a game changer, are exotics. These are unique items requiring rare drops and quite a bit of dedication or luck to obtain that offer some really interesting effects. To give you two examples, there is a weapon called the Hunger, and this will deal umbral-based damage, and it's themed, complete with blinking eyes, from the umbral behemoth of the Shroud. It deals more and more damage as you build up your sword's meter, and then allows you to use that meter to activate a buff that causes you to deal 3 times as much damage for 15 seconds, but as you swing, when this buff is active, you take damage. If you use the ability again within those 15 seconds, you will unleash an attack which looks really cool, that if it hits, you will regain all that health that you lost. A second exotic would be another Umbral themed item, a helmet, where when you die the tragic echo effect happens, where you will come back to life as a shadow clone for 15 seconds. Again, this is themed directly from the Shroud, and during this time you will be dealing triple damage during that 15 seconds. Now these exotics don't have traditional keywords attached giving you the other stats and effects that other armor does, just unique cool effects themed around the behemoths themselves. This all kind of introduces a more RPG Diablo style vibe to the itemization, which I think is a really cool blending and probably really fun for the team to design, but also gives a really long tail goal structure for the people who want to not only collect them all, but upgrade them, as they require the same rare and hard to get items to create them as it does to upgrade them tier after tier. I would hope that most exotics don't amount to pure power creep, but play with the rough balance that they establish in their evergame or their endgame. Either way, cool stuff is cool stuff. Consumable item changes. This was yet another huge step forward. It just received some major streamlining. So the main things are that potions and resurrection items are no longer something that you craft. Instead, you have a healing flask that has 5 charges that refill after every fight, and 1 self-revive that also fills after every fight. It removes the chore and possibility that you forget to craft or equip those staples before starting a hunt, and it turned like 10 items into 2. They also have both of these items slotted in the same item slot, just when you die it flips from healing flask to resurrection item, and it allows you to equip any other 3 items that you want. And that in itself is a big change, because before you were locked into categories, like you could equip 1 defensive item, 1 offensive item, and 1 flare item, and now you can just pick and choose 3 other items freely. This, alongside with the lantern choice, allows you to further create a more personalized build, which is strengthened because now the items that you do craft yourself are also much more potent and will affect you in much more powerful ways. There are also less of them. With fewer items come fewer gatherables, and something weird happens when there is less to keep track of. You now can more easily recognize what a particular plant or resource is and what you can use it for, which is further aided by some clever changing to how gatherables are placed on the islands. They're much less sporadic and random, and now found in patches of the same stuff, usually close to aether jets, so if you veer off from your group to go pick something, you can usually catch up if you hop on the jet. I think there is still some work to do here, but they made consumables in general feel like more than an afterthought or a chore, and more something to support a build. Island changes. I mentioned the different gatherable items receiving new layouts, and that goes hand in hand with a bunch of just reorganization of some of these islands and their decorations and what they look like. Selecting between islands, choosing what you want to hunt and where you want to hunt also got a visual bump through the interface. It reminded me a lot of the first revamp to the Warframe star map, and this is a really good thing. Not only do I really like the appearance of this, but I think that the way that they're doing it is going to be modular in the future. In addition, they added 2 new maps, not biomes, but layouts. They really are playing with different sized spaces that you fight the behemoths in, a lot of verticality, and using the aether jets and your hops to move around. Undocumented, they made the climbing or grasping at cliff faces to pull yourself up a lot cleaner. The last couple patches have continued to add more ambiance, fog or weather effects, and all this just adds a variation, which is good. I'd love to see randomized landing positions. Sometimes venturing into an island from a different location might give you the illusion of variation without the need for creating more assets. The beloved goats have now been demoted to solely decorations at the moment. These immortal, untouchable death beasts just roam the grounds with not an aether hide to spare. The trees, though, are destructible by players and behemoths alike, and it's a change that sometimes really lends itself to cool moments like a pangar thrashing its tail and leveling an entire grove, or leaving a stump behind that gets you killed as you get stumped on the stump. If you're in the Dauntless community, stumps are the true end game. I don't mind that they're there, I just don't want them to be climbable. As for smaller but notable changes, they added in what they call a reputation system. In essence, tied to different NPCs, currently there are 3 reputations. You're given different daily themed and weekly themed tasks to earn experience in those reputations that level up. And as you level up, you unlock stuff based on those reputations. So for instance, one of the reputations is alchemy, all about gathering herbs and making potions. So the different tasks will have you go out and harvest specific materials, and as you move to that reputation track, you'll unlock new types of potions and consumables. This is what they came up with to give you some loose goals for the day or the week, and to pace out rewards, or even make you try a new weapon or make you hunt something you don't normally. Cryptically, I will say, moving forward, adding a time gate to your game, you need to be careful what's locked behind it, because they're not fun. You can get around things creatively, like instead of unlocking a specific thing, you unlock a token that lets you choose a thing from a list. Adding that layer of player agency changes the tone of that, or giving ways to make progress on a track, albeit at a very low or inefficient rate that most people will choose to ignore, again changes the tone. Flat walls suck. Cells, the game's gemming system, are now removable. The cells themselves feel a bit rarer, and I think I've gotten most of mine only from those reputation tracks, but you no longer lose or feel compelled to hoard them. They released a transmog system for your gear, so this is the ability to take the skin of an item that you like and apply it to a piece of gear that has the stats that you want. So you can look the way you like, have the stats you want, fashion. The sword got a new rolling attack. It shouldn't, but does make the sword feel better to use. I did as Dioshi told me and made a stamina-based sword build, and you just roll slash, roll slash, roll slash. It's rather cool, but I think what it did for me is it finally gave me a feel for the weapon's identity. The weapons in Dauntless, even though the movesets are incredibly small and simple, there's kind of like this feel to them, and the axe and the hammer, especially on their last rework, really nailed those down. But I find that the sword and the chain blades kind of are lacking, with the pike somewhere in between, and this was a good step in the right direction, I feel. And this is gonna be dumb, but the sword feels like, to me, it's all about the animation hang. It's about the timing on when the next key press comes. It's not letting the window or the combo drop. And I don't know who is in charge of the sword. I think it's obvious the sword needs something to break itself up. And even though the game wasn't all that great, Extinction has a really simple combo system that felt the way Dauntless's sword feels, using only one button, using taps, holds, and delays. Just had an interesting weaving combo system that feels like something I hope the combat team has seen. The chain blade, so I hate this weapon. After playing a heavily elemental style this patch, I don't think it's as weak as people are saying, but there is this bonus on one set of the chain blades that made the weapon feel fun to me. And honestly, I think it should almost be added to every chain blade. And that's the, if you hit the behemoth X amount of times within a window, you deal a larger sum of damage. Like every 20th hit deals X damage. Not only do the multi-hits from the chain blade come from stamina, which would now need to be managed, but it makes use of the dash in, dash out importance to not drop your stack. It lets the weapon really shine on its own, but also made the lanterns and items that increased attack speed feel build defining. Overall, it's a really great patch, a lot of focus on empowering people to create builds or playstyles that didn't occur before the patch and will really flourish as more dire behemoths are made available. I'm still trying to make a caster slayer work by just ramping up as much lantern energy as I can and just dropping as many fireballs as I can and getting mad when behemoths move away from them, on top of just lots of small improvements, graphic flourishes, and sound effects that only occur when you fight over water. It's shaping up. Each patch with Dauntless always takes a noticeable step forward, and I think more than ever, Dauntless is really coming into its own and showing, or maybe through tweaking, finally figuring out exactly what it is, where it's going, or how to show what it wants to be. But that's going to do it for me. Until next time, this is Fever. Pulse.